back to the Glow Up Gyrl podcast. I am Kyra Mitchell-Lewis, and today I am joined by Sydney Jackson-Clockston. Hey, Sydney.
Hi, Kyra. Thank you so much for having me on today. I'm really excited.
Sydney is a master coach and founder of Citrine Unlimited. And I'm so glad that you're here today. First of all, we talked earlier. It was like, you talk to people and you're like, oh, just a kindred soul, like
yes.
Spirit, like I just love her. And so, we talked a month and a half ago, and I just knew like, oh my gosh, I just love her. So I'm really glad that we're getting to have this conversation, and you are going to join us today. And we're talking about creating a winner's mindset. So it's all about shifting the mindset, people, to get the life that you want. So Sydney, welcome. And if you want to go ahead and kick off by just telling the audience about yourself, that would be great.
Yeah. So thank you again for having me. And I want to just echo that. I think you're an amazing person, and the community you're building is just awesome. And the support you're giving to us women out there. So I commend you and appreciate you. A little bit about me. I am from Denver, Colorado, born and raised. It's been quite a journey for myself. I went to school actually and got a master's in tourism management and natural resources with a focus on sustainability. And so it's been very interesting in Colorado, being in that category of sustainability and being the only woman of color usually showing up in the room has kind of been a life lesson in itself for me. But also just like understanding, how sustainability impacts people of color so heavily. Like usually BIPOC, Black, Indigenous people of color are the most impacted. And so that's kind of what sparked me into wanting to start my journey into, working with folks and really being a catalyst for change in my community and in the world. It's just understanding like the gravity of what we face daily. And so I decided to, after working for other folks doing events and working in hospitality for several years, to strike it out on my own. Mm-hmm. And before COVID-19, I actually had a pretty successful travel business that I had started up, where I was doing responsible travel, where I was helping people internationally and domestically think about sustainable travel. Like, how am I impacting not just the environment, but like the people? When I go somewhere, how am I making their lives better? Because I think those questions get left off a lot. Am I really helping this community or supporting this community? Not just how am I treating the people there, but where is my money going? Like, am I really stimulating and generating any good in this local economy while I'm here? And so I was helping my clients and the groups that they were traveling with when they were doing retreats really think about these questions, and just thinking about how they could be more responsible and have a great time, right? Like, you don't want to travel and feel like, oh, I'm a terrible person and I'm like ruining things. But how can you make things better than when you came?
Exactly.
And so that's what I was really into. And, I got really fortunate because I believe in being proactive and keeping up with like industry news. So I was really fortunate to know COVID was coming last October. Because I got world news and it was affecting different popular travel destinations. And I knew I had to put a plan together to pivot quickly. And it speaks so much into what we're talking about today with mindset, right? And creating that winner's mindset. Because I could have easily been like, well, this sucks.
Right. Yeah.
I have this business. I just started up this business. I just quit my full-time job. Like, what can I do? I have no control over it. Woe is me. But I really took the idea and did a lot of personal development about what can I switch into? How can I keep moving forward? How can I keep growing? How can I learn from this? What can I apply what I'm doing now to something else? Right. And I learned that I'm really into, like I was saying before, creating transformative experiences for other people. And now I do that through coaching and consulting. And so it's crazy how I went from one industry to another, but I'm still doing what I'm passionate and have purpose in.
Yes.
And so that's kind of my story and how I started Citrine Unlimited.
Love that. That's a great story. We talked about this before where, you know, when in the US, obviously in March, when things started to happen with COVID and everybody was on, oh, we got to pivot. We got to, you know, we have to be agile. And, you know, I think I've talked to a lot of people. I'm like, yeah, not everyone is truly agile. Like now people are being forced. So if you've been one of those people saying agility, 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 you had to live up to that. And for you to, like you said, to just sort of go into immediately trying to figure out how can I still work in my purpose and in my passion, but how can I sustain, you know, just a life for me. That's really just speaks volumes to the woman that you are. That you were able to do that, because a lot of people just have not really been able to actually make that pivot and change so quickly and be successful at it, you know?
Thank you so much. And I love that, because when you said sustain, I'm like, yeah, girls got to eat. I always say that to everyone. I'm like, I like to eat and I like to shower and I like electricity. Yes. Like I like all the first world basics that I'm blessed to have. And so, so it also came from this hunger, right? Too, of like, I like all these things and I also want to still continue making a difference.
Yeah, of course. So, where does the name Citrine, where did that come from?
Yeah, no, wonderful question. You know, I was trying to think outside of the box. I literally was just going to go with like Sydney Star, which is my middle name, you know, coaching and consulting or something like that along those lines. And I was like, you know, let me think outside of the box. I'm a pretty spiritual person. I am really big in prayer and also taking that time to meditate and self-reflect. And I do think that there's power in natural elements too. And so I really like the stone citrine. It's one of my favorite ones. And that's because it's supposed to represent and kind of be a conduit for like manifestation and imagination and willpower, all of these main things that I'm saying that I want to have the courage to do, like the willpower to keep moving and to carry on. And it also represents like abundance and self-esteem and self-confidence and creativity. And sometimes, you know, depending on my mindset, I get stuck in feeling like I don't have these things. And so it's just a constant reminder of like, no, like you can do this.
I love that.
Thank you. And then the unlimited part, I just was thinking like unlimited possibilities, like nothing can stop me. Like, you know, I'm highly favored, so I can do this. So that's kind of where the name came from.
No, it's a very powerful name. Like I'd read the story on your website. So, and I wanted you to be able to share that with people, because I think that there's so much in that name. If someone is coming into the fold and they're coming to work with you, that you immediately sort of come through the door knowing that there are these opportunities. And I love that it's unlimited, because the opportunities are they're unlimited opportunities, even in a time like today. You know, I know we talked about this before. I mean, obviously, this year hasn't been kind to a lot of people. You know, a lot of people have lost their lives. A lot of people have lost their jobs. But it also has been hopeful for a lot of some people regain things in life that they had lost. People are regaining balance and purpose in their lives, because you sort of stripped away that every day, those opportunities to like be out every day or be busy and distracted. You know, the distractions have been stripped away. So now people have been able to really come to a place of, what am I actually passionate about? I think that, you know, people have established boundaries during this time, where there are going to be some people that when the world goes back to whatever the normal looks like for us, hopefully next year, there are just going to be some non-negotiables for people, you know, and I think that this time has been really great for that. And I love that you talked about meditating. And I mean, I started to meditate this year for the first time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so powerful. I mean, like I'm a pray, but it all to me sort of feels in the same, because a lot of the thoughts and the things that I'm sharing in prayer in the morning or whenever I pray, I mean, when your mind is clear and free and you're meditating, you still have those similar, thoughts. It's a moment to be thankful for things. It's a moment just to have clear and clarity of like, what do I want? So it's so very powerful. And I feel like that is what you bring that is different from a lot of other coaches, because you're introducing these things to people and these opportunities to connect at a different level, and not just the standard type of coaching that people are accustomed to.
Thank you. Yeah. And that's why I like to tell folks that I'm a transformative coach and consultant, because I want to leave folks moved, better than when they came, or wholer than when they came.
Yeah.
Not that anything's wrong with people. I don't like to have that approach, but I want you to leave working with me feeling like, well, I walked away with some tools and some techniques that I can carry on in life with, that just make me feel better, that really benefited me as a human being. So thank you for speaking to that.
And it is about, like you said, the key thing is sustainable tools. It's not just a fleeting tool that you learn today and it works for 30 days and then you're like, oh, I don't have to do that anymore. There are tools that are going to help you to progress and continue to evolve for the rest of your life. So that is truly, that's the transformative part. And that
thank you. Yes.
So as we talk about, shifting mindsets, we are, coming to a close in 2020 and moving into 2021. And obviously it's a time where everyone is saying, I'm making, declarations for myself, resolutions, whatever you call it, goals for themselves. Let's talk about shifting your mindset to win. In order to do that, I think we can first sort of look at the types of mindsets, which I think this is so cool. So can you talk about fixed growth and benefit mindsets and the differences between them?
Yeah, most definitely. I first want to start off by just explaining to folks, and your audience probably knows this, but just in case someone's new, what is mindset? And I think that's so important to understand that mindset itself, it's a collective of thoughts and beliefs that shape your habits. And so really, when it comes down to it, when you're thinking about these beliefs, when I went to college, I learned beliefs are the hardest thing to change. And, that's what's driving our decision making. And so that's what coaching is for, is to be able to have someone there to help you question your thought process, especially when you feel like I'm stuck in a space. And how can we move past that? How can we get you out of this belief that you're stuck? And so that kind of leads me into the first mindset, which is the fixed mindset. And so literally a fixed mindset says that, I have limited abilities. When I get frustrated with a project, maybe I just give up. The challenge isn't worth it. This is really tough. There's nothing I can do about it. You kind of get left with this, there's just, life is life. I can't do anything about it type attitude, right? As where the growth mindset is where you're trying to take those challenges, and literally I hear about it in all of the hip hop and rap songs, right? Turn my L's into wins, or whatever, my losses into wins.
Right.
Literally taking any time that you hit a roadblock, anytime a door's shut, okay, where's the window? Okay, if a window's locked and I can't get in, shoot, can I be Santa Claus and come down the chimney? Do I need to build my own house? That's really the mindset. That's the mindset of growth mindset. It's just thinking about, how can I take what's happening to me and move forward? Right. And so that's what I would like to say the big difference is. And usually folks stop there. Usually we kind of just go from fixed to growth. However, there's a whole nother level when we're looking at things like leadership called benefit mindset. And that's when you actually are starting to become a benefit to others. So you not only want to do well for yourself, you not only want yourself to grow, but you want others to grow. Maybe you want to become a mentor to others. Maybe you're using your time. Of course, a lot of folks use dollars, but I feel actions speak a little louder than words. And so you're really making that impact in your community, whatever it is you choose to do. And so that's kind of where that benefit mindset comes in, is that I'm of service to others. I'm a tool for others to use for good.
I love that. And I would probably say that obviously fixed and growth are very common. I think the benefit mindset is probably, like you said, not something people probably don't speak of as often, but I definitely had never, once you and I talked and I did some research myself, looking into that, I was like, oh, so cool. I think I have a benefit mindset.
I think you do too. Yes, I think you're right.
But it was just so I think that's really interesting. Do you find that a lot of the people, where do you see a lot of the people that come into the fold to work with you? Where do they land? I guess at the start of your coaching.
Yeah, most folks that I usually start working with are right on the cusp of being between fixed and growth. So they're just sick and tired of being sick and tired of feeling stuck. And so they're ready to move on to that next level. Like, how can I keep going? And that's really with any coaching, right? It takes someone to have that realization of like, I don't feel like something's right. And I want to figure out what that is and how can I move forward. That in itself, and having that kind of self-reflection, is showing that you're ready to move on to growth.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that you said that people that are sick and tired of being sick and tired, because I think that it's there's a interesting thing. I was having this conversation with someone else about people taking that first step and to coach. A lot of times people are like, oh yeah, I've been thinking about it, or I wanted to look into it, but most people don't take that first step. And it's always for me, it's interesting. I'm always trying to determine, because things like getting help or evolving or growth, I mean, they were easy steps for me to take, like going to therapy was like, once I started to think about, oh, I think I need to go to therapy, then I immediately started to look for a therapist. And I found someone and just hit the ground running, and same thing in coaching and getting a coach. But it's and so it's sort of like seems weird for me where people are like, I'm gonna look into that. And I'm like, just do it.
Yeah.
Like, it'll change your life. Like, it will literally change your life if you just take that first step. What advice would you give to someone who is sort of teetering, or they are like, maybe I want to, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things. One, thank you so much for sharing that you are in therapy or were in therapy. I myself right now. Okay, perfect. I myself right now, I've been in therapy before, and I'm seeking a therapist right now. And my mom's a therapist, although she can't be my therapist.
Right.
But so I'm big on mental health normalizing. And I think part of, seeking help is there's a stigma around it, especially for BIPOC folks, where it's like, I don't trust that person. I don't know that person. I'm not telling that person my business. Right?
Right.
So I think that's one piece of it, is that trust aspect, right? Like, I don't trust this person. I don't know this person. And so I think that if you're teetering, one thing that you can do is just start following someone, especially if they're a coach. Usually coaches have, like how I'm doing a podcast right now, or they have other works that they do that you can check out. Therapists are a little different, right? They're more private, but you can interview a therapist. You don't have to just pick one and say, oh, well, I'm stuck with this person. You can actually interview them for the job to work with you.
Exactly.
So that's one piece of advice. And I think a lot of it's shrouded also in fear, right? Like as human beings, anytime we enter into something that's unknown, it can be uncomfortable and it can make us fearful. And so I think sometimes I see when people are kind of like, I want coaching, but it's not a good time, or I hear excuses come up. It can have some stem of fear around it. And who knows, there's all these things we create in our head, stories, right? Like I can't afford to invest in it, or I don't trust this person or whatever. So in order to get over a fear, you sometimes just have to do it. Like if you're afraid of snakes, sometimes you just have to hold one. I don't know. I mean, that's what I did. So I have a fear of worms. So I actually created a worm box and did compost out of it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was gross, but I did it.
Yes. No, I think that's really good advice. And I think you're definitely right. There with the stigmas around mental health, and you don't need to talk to someone, or you don't need to tell people your business, especially people of color. That is often, I know when I first was considering therapy a year ago, and I remember like telling my mom, and she was like, and I was like, look, there's nothing. It's like nothing, it's you don't have to get defensive. It's not like, it doesn't reflect on you or dad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I have some things that I need to deal with. I need to uncover it. And at the root of everything that was, causing me such angst and overwhelmed, I mean, it was because I didn't have boundaries.
Yeah.
You can't set those for me. Those are only things that I could do, for myself. So I definitely think that, there is, I just hope that people can see there's such a loss when you don't deal with those things, because all you basically do is you're just packing things into storage, and you're just keeping things in a box, and you just like don't actually like deal with them. So you just take that baggage everywhere you go to, like, if it's relationships, if it's jobs, if you're dealing with professional things and you don't deal with them, then you just carry them. And that affects your ability to change your mindset, because if you're stuck in the fixed, and that is often probably where some people fall, that are, like, I want to try it, but
yeah. I love that analogy you gave, right? Of that packing things into storage. Like two things. One, you carry it with you everywhere. I don't know. I'm in the process of moving right now. And I was like, oh my gosh, why do I have all this stuff? But then also too, eventually you open up that closet door or that file box or whatever, and it just explodes. Like,
yes, it
everything falls out.
Oh my gosh. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's just, and I don't know. And maybe it's because, I try to also just meet people, I try to meet people where they are. And I try to share the experiences that have come out of therapy for me. I'm like, yeah, there's some days where, I'm crying, ugly cry and everything. And it's like, oh, it's because of me. Like at the end of the day, I said it was not a wonderful experience to uncover that I was just allowing people to treat me a certain way, because I did not value myself. I mean, we think we do. We think we love, oh yeah, I love myself and I'm all about me and I'm da-da-da. But at the root of it, there is a need, there was a need for me to feel like, well, if I do things for people, then, it'll keep peace. People will be happy. People will like me. I'll get, I'll be seen as a person who's super helpful. But that wasn't good, because ultimately it just allowed people to take advantage. And when you don't have those boundaries, like it's been like a year and a half ago now that I started. But now, I literally just had therapy before this recording. And, and I was given I was telling my therapist about some examples at work. And she was just like, oh my God. She was like, those boundaries are strong, girl. And like a year ago, I would have done something completely different.
Yeah.
And I knew that, like, when it came, when the situation was playing out, like, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. And so we can revisit this, like after the holiday. And it was so funny because she was like, now, what would you have done before? I said, oh, I would have totally like come off of my vacation, got on my computer, and I would have made it happen. I would have made it happen. And I said, and now it's like, no, I mean, I gave you all the pre-information that you needed to know that, hey, I'm not going to be here this week. So you did nothing with that.
I love that. Thank you for being honest once again with your audience and sharing. And then also too, I think that I tell folks, and just the fact that your therapist had you reflect back on what would you have done. Mm-hmm. I encourage people to think about, what do I have to lose? That's the other thing. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're on the fence about doing coaching, getting into therapy, doing both, sometimes folks need both, is what do you have to lose? Like, honestly, ask yourself that. What is the worst that could happen? Because that sometimes can help folks get over that hump. And then they'll be surprised when they look back and they're like, whoa, actually, that wasn't that bad.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, it's really not, it's just taking a first step. It's taking that first step to make things better because if you are working on you and you're evolving yourself and healing, then you're going to be that much better for the people around you. Count on you and depend on you, the people you love. And it's just, it's an experience that, I would do it 1,000 times. Every time I would say yes to therapy. And then also, with coaching, it's an investment in yourself. And I think that a lot of people, start to say, oh my God, like, how much is it? Is it gonna, how much is it gonna cost me? And it's like, but you have to invest in yourself. And I think where you spend your money, and those things really, it really matters, so if you can go out and you can spend, $300-400 on like some shoes or an outfit or going out to dinner or taking, paying down on a trip. You can spend that $500 investing in yourself for your future, because that's what's important. You invest that money in yourself, you'll always have access to all those things. That's how I see it.
I love that. And I totally agree with you. It's an investment. Mm-hmm. It is. It's an investment in your future. Yeah. And I think that this conversation we're having is so important to our community as Black women and just to the BIPOC community in general. I don't think that we invest in ourselves enough, nor were we taught to invest in ourselves enough. What we were taught is to invest in others. And to be capital for other people. And so that's the narrative I'm trying to change, is say, no, you need to start working for yourself, and not even necessarily owning your own business, but in the sense of like taking care of yourself, and you're so right. How can you take care of others if you're not taking care of your mental and physical well-being? Exactly. So that you can show up for your family.
Yes. Show up, people. Show up. So of course we know, with all this information and this opportunity, these opportunities, for coaching and therapy, all that does play a part into getting to a place to where you have created what we're calling a winner's mindset.
Yes.
So I know that you have some steps to get there that you are going to share with the audience today. Yes. So guys, you're going to get some of it for free today.
Yeah. Little nuggets.
Some little nuggets today, just to, get you churning over there as you go into 2021. But I think that, I'm super excited to get these out. So let's go ahead. You can dive into them.
Okay. So some of the things that I suggest doing, and I know you had, before we did this interview, you had asked me a couple of questions, and this really interrelates to like, how do you get through a challenging day?
Yeah.
And so really what I've created is a toolkit. I don't think folks take enough time to like sit and write down and think about what helps me when I am being challenged, when I'm upset, when I'm frustrated, so I can keep moving forward, so I can recharge my battery, refill my car up with gas so I could keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, you know, in my toolkit, I do everything from listen to music. We talked about praying and meditating already. You know, I'll talk to a trusted friend. I guess I'm a little hippy dippy. I like walking barefoot. I find a lot of power in that.
Mm-hmm.
Or called earthing. I like to just be outside on a nice day and just like get fresh air and have some quiet time away from technology. So I think it's really
Yes.
important for us to understand like what helps us to de-stress, and positive things, because I also have some negative things that I do. Like I will overeat, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of doing that, well, why don't I just go outside and take a walk? And so having that list in front of you is, I feel like, super important. The other thing is that, you know, really thinking about what are you saying to yourself? So instead of saying things like, I'm not good at this, take a step back and reflect and say, what am I missing? It's not that I'm bad at this. I'm just not getting something. What maybe is that? Do I need to watch a different tutorial? Do I need to ask the question a different way? Instead of saying, you know, I give up, you know, what's a different strategy I could come up with? Do I truly need to? And sometimes you need to walk away from something. Like sometimes truly there's nothing more you can do. But I think it's important to always think outside the box first. Like, what else can I do to approach this? You know, thinking like, I can't make this any better. Well, how can I improve this? Like really changing these negative thoughts. And it's work to do that, but to start thinking, okay, I'm starting to say negative things to myself. How can I change this more into positive things to keep me going?
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing to do. The other thing too is, you know, and I don't know if we were going to talk about this a little bit later, but affirmations.
Yes, let's go. We can talk about it now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Affirmations I feel are super important. And for folks who don't use them, they might feel a little hokey. But really what it is like you affirming something. That's what affirmation means. You're affirming something. So one of the affirmations I say daily that clicked with me, that's stuck in my heart, is that my wildest dreams are coming true. I wholeheartedly truly believe that my wildest dreams are coming true. I'm doing things that 5 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago, I never thought I would be doing ever. I mean, I've been giving presentations in places I never thought I'd be giving presentations, and working with clients that are at a caliber I never thought I'd be working with before in my life.
Yeah.
And so and just personally doing things and experiencing growth. And so I think the important part with affirmations is to also have a plan in place to get there. And so that's where that coaching aspect comes into play, because oftentimes we have one or the other. We have a strategy, right? Or we have goals, but no real vision to get there. And then we'll have affirmations, we'll have the vision, but no goals or plans to achieve the affirmation.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like connecting the two. That's what else is in the toolkit that I think is really important towards generating that winner's mindset.
All of those were really, really great. And I do love affirmations and, you know, just reminding yourself of the why. And I love what you just said about, you know, you're living your wildest dreams are coming true, and basically how you're just doing things. I like the reflection of 5 years ago, I'm doing things 2 years ago. And I think that we don't do that enough for ourselves, because that's where we don't celebrate. Like, we don't celebrate the wins. We just focus on the things that didn't work. Whereas I'm pretty sure if everybody just, even if you looked back a year ago, there probably is something that you're doing today that you weren't doing last year that has positively affected your life. But we tend to just go, oh, well, I said I was going to get 10 clients and I only got 5. So I'm a loser, you know?
Yes, that's common, actually. That's very common.
And it's the negative self-talk. So how you talked about moving away from negative self-talk and focusing on the positive things that are happening and speaking that to yourself. Because I mean, I do believe you can speak it into existence. And if constantly talking about me being, like I'm not good at something, then you're not going to be good at it ever.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And with the reflection aspect, another thing folks can throw in their toolkit is journaling.
Yes.
I mean, that just in itself, it not only gives you time, just like prayer and meditation, to think on things, but it gives you written record. So you can go back and see, whoa, I really did feel this way, or I thought this way. And sometimes I look at my journal and I get embarrassed. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I've said that or thought that. But it's a learning moment to see how much you've grown. So yeah, I think that's super important as well. And I appreciate you bringing that up too.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I mean, journaling is just, I mean, it's so great. It's so awesome to like look back. Like I actually, maybe earlier this week, I got my the letter to your future self that I wrote last year. And, and I was like, oh, okay.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's so funny because like I read it and I was like, wow, okay. Well, some of these things that happen because obviously the year has been very different, from what we thought we would be coming into. But I'm really excited to write my letter. I'm actually writing a letter this weekend that I'll, put in the vault for a year. And I'm really excited because I think that between like everything that's happened this year and then next year will be just an amazing like letter to open up and go, now today we are in a pandemic. And and where will we be a year from now? So that's a really cool thing. Along with journaling, I live for journaling. I think it's so important. And another thing I've done in the past, and I may bring it back for next year, is the gratitude jar.
Oh yes. Yeah. Do you tell people more about it? I love that too. That's an awesome activity.
Yes. So it's just a jar, basically, and every night you write something in there that you're thankful for. It doesn't have to be the win. Like a lot of the things that I wrote and put in there were like lessons that I learned. Oh, this happened today. And but it helps you to reflect on it. So even when something that we didn't expect or it didn't turn out the way, I think you can always reflect on something and say, well, I was trying for that job and I didn't get that job, but I learned, or I was able to connect to like 5 new people who I'm going to stay connected to in the future. Right. And then as you sort of look through, like, as I would read through, like I literally read through them like on December 31st. And I was just going like through, opening them up and seeing like different months and different things. I was like, oh my God, like this is like so cool to sort of see my life like like right before my eyes and everything that's happened, like all the good things, the bad things, the learnings, and it's just it's a pretty powerful tool.
Let me show you. This is mine.
And I love it.
It's also a vision board. Clearly, with being in sustainability, I know how to upcycle. So I took a coffee can and just created my own gratitude jar slash vision board that I can see every day.
I love that. And I may have to do that this year to make it, because I do a vision board every year. So maybe I'll just do like a vision board gratitude jar in one.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
I like it because I get to look at it more often than I do my board.
Yes. Man, I love a good vision board. Like, isn't it the best?
It is.
And I'm always telling people, I'm like, because I remember I would do them. I was like, well, did that happen? I'm like, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Like, it doesn't have to. Some things extend over. Like, there were like 2 or 3 things. Like, it took like 2 years for something to actually like manifesting. But it's there. I'm not going away from it because I know that it's there. It's what's been put in my heart. All I have to do is just be faithful to it and believe and keep praying and stay focused on the goal, and it will happen. So yes. All right, let's see. So we'll go into 5 things with Sydney, but it'll be an abbreviated version.
Okay.
Some of these things we did answer already. So how do you start the day?
Yeah, so a couple of ways. One is every time my feet hit the ground, I just try to think of something positive that I'm grateful for. There's also another way that something else that I do that's not very popular with many folks is I do not touch my cell phone until I've taken care of all the hygiene basics. So brushing my teeth, using the restroom, taking a shower. Just because I never know what's going to pop up on my Facebook feed or what's going to be in my email inbox that I'm going to feel like all of a sudden I need to urgently answer, or it's going to upset me or whatever. So I try to start my morning in peace. And that's the way I do it.
That is very smart.
Thanks.
It's very smart. You have to, because as soon as you pick up your phone, there's something there that could make you say, oh, I need to do this. Like, I do have mine in there because I do read some devotionals from my phone, but I've gotten better at, like, I don't look at any of my email until like I'm finished like that and working out. And once I then I'm like, okay, now I can look at it.
Yes. Yep. That's exactly what I do. I was like, I need peace of mind first thing in the morning.
Exactly. Because it's like, there's nothing did it burn down overnight? Because really not. So what's one goal that you set for yourself or your business in 2021?
Oh man. I just, my goal is just to have continued growth. I'm really starting to work on facilitating meetings with boards and doing overall organizational coaching and training. And so it's been a very interesting space because there are a lot of orgs that are still in that fixed mindset of, our people make us money, they're human capital, like that. It is what it is. Leave your stuff at the door when you get to work. Don't bring your problems to work. They shouldn't affect you. And there are some companies that are starting to understand, like, these are human beings that work for us. And when they have problems, it affects our bottom line. Like, we can't make money like we properly should. And so those are the companies I'm really excited that I've been able to work with. And I want to keep growing that and, working with people on emotional intelligence and having conversations around diversity, equity, and inclusion and different things like that.
Awesome. Tell people about the programs that you offer and how they can work with you.
Yeah. So I offer a few programs, and right now what I'm doing is I have 2 self-guided options for folks who may be interested in just doing I'm not sure how to meditate, what meditation is. I have a 21-day challenge that kind of helps people to reset and find some peace and stillness over the 21 days. So I have that going. I have a gratitude challenge for 30 days. I feel like we only celebrate gratitude one day of the year on Thanksgiving in the US. And so we should be grateful daily. And so it gives you prompts and things to think about daily on being grateful. I also offer a one-on-one coaching program. And then, customize, like I was saying, customized coaching for organizations and groups as well.
Awesome. Love that. And lastly, how do you end the day?
Close to how I begin the day. I actually have gotten into unplugging my electronics. My partner and I, we don't even turn on the TV anymore, especially when we're stressed. Like, it actually has helped decompress. I used to be really bad and have insomnia, and I was considering getting on medication, and which, if you need medication, that's fine, but I really didn't want to go that route. So unplugging, the no TV, reading a book instead. I actually have an app that I just do like a sleep meditation that I could fall asleep to. Has really helped me. And I actually get way more rest now because of it. So sometimes I'll even reflect back on my gratitude journal and think about the things, I was thankful for. But the meditation and turning off noise has been very helpful.
Oh, nice. Very good. I like that. So tell the audience how they can connect to you, how they can find you online, on social as well.
Yeah. So the easiest way to find me is to go to Linktree. /Citrine Unlimited, linktr.ee/Citrine Unlimited. That will connect you to all of my social media platforms, my website. You can also go to citrineunlimited.com. And then I'm also on Facebook and on Instagram under Citrine Unlimited as well.
Awesome. And we'll be sure to drop the links as well in the show notes so that you can find them easily. So, wow, this was great. Awesome, great conversation. I am so thankful that you were able to join me today. And I hope that you have so much success in 2021 and you're able to help people transform their lives moving forward here. So thank you for all that you do. And you can always come back here. This door is always open to join me and have a discussion in the future.
Thank you so much, Kyra. I really enjoyed our conversation too. It always feels like just old friends getting together, even though we've only met like 2 or 3 times.
Right.
And we're in different states. So I appreciate you and all you're doing too. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Well, stay tuned, everyone. I'll be right back.